So, today we're doing some setup on some security cameras. The video one setup was this, an NVR by Amcrest. We've got this fully set up, it's all operational. In all reality, if I go back up here to my live view, you'll see I don't have any camera feeds. But that's about to change because now we're going to set up these. So this is more about an unboxing to see how it actually comes in here. These are going to set up essentially the same, but they are two different cameras. But these are their new AI-based 5 megapixel cameras. I have the bullet camera as well as the turret style camera. Let's take a peek what it looks like, how they come out of the box, and show how simple it is to actually get them going, specifically if you have an NVR. Maybe what we'll do on one of them, we'll set up with the NVR, and the other one we'll set up as a direct view rather than set it up with the NVR, and then I'll probably set it up with the NVR separately afterwards. But maybe that'll give us a good video to show the differences between the two ways of setup. So dig in, let's open the boxes. Okay, so we're going to start by opening up the bullet camera, and there's just some security tape here, which I would wish I had my knife on me, but I don't right now. So once we pull that guy open, we do have a nice mounting guide, so we can actually use this when we actually do have to drill the 3 holes for the mount. Some paperwork, small little quick start guide right there. Just some standard paperwork, 2-year claim warranty that obviously is probably register that so you can claim a 2-year warranty on it. We do have our Ethernet cord seal kit for exterior rated to seal up the cable. Looks like 4 mounting screws with necessary hardware to mount. And then the camera itself. So that's all that's in the box. So this camera, 5 megapixels, and it actually feels like it's very well built. Oh yeah, that's a metallic housing on that thing. There's a nice plastic film on the front to keep the lens from getting scratched up. Let's see about taking that off. There we go. So there's our sensors and our night vision camera and all that stuff. It has a standard Phillips right here that you can loosen to adjust the bullet camera. So obviously if you're going to be mounting it from above, you mount it like that. If you're going to mount it from below, you're going to mount it like that. If you're going to mount it from the back, so we're going to move on like that. But then once you get it turned, if you're going to turn it at an angle, you can do all that. Once you get it at that point, that's what this screw right here does, is just locks that ball, that joint right there down. So depending on where you mount it, it was for that. Otherwise, we do have Ethernet port. However, if you don't have PoE or power over Ethernet, it does accept, looks like 12 volt input as well. So like a lot of cameras, like, to be honest, that you get from that are these type, it does accept both. But it is networked, so it's not going to be Wi-Fi. It does have to be plugged in over network, but it should work on PoE because that's what it is. It's a PoE camera. So this 12 volt plug I won't be using. So we're going to start with the bullet camera setup. I'm going to set that down there. We're going to set this up with the NVR. So we're going to do that one first, then we'll do the turret camera as a standalone. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a patch cable. Obviously it didn't come with a patch cable. I'm going to get a patch cable to plug that into the NVR in one of the ports. We're going to see how she comes up. So this part is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm not going to actually do it because I want to have it zoomed out so you can see the screen. But I have this patch cable plugged into port 1 out of the 8 camera ports on the back of the NVR. And I'm literally just going to plug it in here. Now if I was actually doing this, it wouldn't be terminated yet. And we'd be using this seal kit. So if you've ever used one of these before, this is the termination end that actually bayonets onto the Ethernet port here. Essentially what you do is, let's look a little closer. So we have our end here, whether it's terminated or not, and then when that comes in, you're actually going to take this cap, that's going to go on first, Then we're going to take this piece with these flanges facing toward the cap. So that's going to go on our end here. Then this little rubber guy kind of goes over the cable like that, so that can go on at any time. On this side, we have this little rubber O-ring that goes around here. I can plug this in, and then I'm actually going to plug it in right now. I'll take it out of the other side. So I plug that in here. Then I'm going to bayonet this on here. There we go. Then I'm going to take this rubber gasket, put it in here, and this is for outdoor use, so it seals it up good. So usually this fits down in here quite a bit. Oh, that's because this has a boot on it. So these that have boots on it, you're not going to be able to get this rubber seal in there very well. But typically, if you're going to do an outdoor array cable, you're not going to have that boot. So this would basically go in about flush with this guy, and then you'd seal it down with this. So that's how you would do an outdoor array connection where this camera is. Even if it's not outdoors, it's going to be close enough. I'd want that sealed up. So that's what that is. But that said, let's zoom out so you can actually see the camera coming online as we go. So I have it plugged into the camera already. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug it back into this port 1. And let's see if there's any lights that come on this guy. What I am interested is whether or not it's going to come in as camera 1 or if it's just going to be random. I would assume it is because it's plugged into port 1, but that doesn't mean it actually will. And I don't know if I have to do anything. I haven't really looked into this yet. Some NVRs you have to set them up with each individual camera, or if it's going to actually come in automatically, and that's kind of what I want to just let it sit and do. So we're just going to give it a second. It's going to come in as a... Oh, I just saw a light blink on it, so it must be booting up, so that's a good thing. Oh, could not find the host. 10.1.1.128. Interesting. Oh, if I hover over this, oh. See how the plus went away? Oh, look at that. So that was just part of the boot up process. So the camera was just booting up. So you can see setting up, once we have the NVR set up, setting a camera up with the NVR is quite literally plug it in. I am kind of interested if I plug it into a different port, if it goes to a different location now that it may be assigned to that. So I think I'm going to try that real quick. So as you can see, I plugged the camera into port 5. It's now booting into port 5. So port 1 will be camera 1 position. Port 2, it's basically camera 1 position is that one first port. Makes it real easy to know which way when you're going to plug in if you know where that Ethernet cable is going. So there we go. We have the camera setting up any camera with the NVR is going to be pretty simple, to say the least. So let's continue on our tour of fun. And we're going to set this one up a little differently. Now, in this case, we're going to set it up pretending like I don't have an NVR. So this guy's the turret. We're going to essentially have pretty much most of the same stuff, other than the template's a lot different because it's the size of the turret. This time it's going to have 4 independent holes to set up with that, and then of course where the cable comes through. Still have our weatherproof end. 4 mounting screws, so they pretty much was just put that 4 mounting screw in it every time. This one comes with a Torx wrench. There we go. And then we have the turret itself. Now I have a couple different brand of turret cameras on my home currently. I really like turret style cameras more than anything else because they're very stable, because they're not sticking out from anything. They're very, they're basically hugged to the unit itself. So I find them to be very stable. I really like them. So in this regard, and this is I will say I didn't point this out on the bullet camera. If you noticed on the bullet camera, there is a small door just like this. I can show you that on here. There you go. It's 2 Phillips screws. That is where the reset buttons are, but that's also where you can have on-device storage. So if you don't have an NVR, you're going to want to have this, most likely you're going to want storage somehow. In this case, there is a micro SD card slot. And so that micro SD card slot allows us to record on device. So let's see if that's, all right. So yep, I'm just going to kind of rotate that around or rotate that up. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to basically, I'm just moving this camera around in the slot here so I can easily access that door. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and, oh boy, they are tight too. Whew. They don't skimp on the torque factor of those screws from the factory. Oh, just that one maybe. Jeez. Okay. Should be good. And I'm going to say this real quick. The build quality of these are nice. It's all metal. I mean, it's all metal. And that's awesome. So, little door, nice little weather stripping around the door. It seals in. So, real quick, I'm going to zoom in as best I can. The micro SD slot, and then right above it is a little button. It's a little reset button. So if you ever have to reset the cameras back to factory defaults, that's what that button is. So I'm going to grab a micro SD card. So we're going to do this, like I said, like we don't have an NVR. So now I get to, looks like it, towards the reset button is where you're going to put the pins. I look down in there and using my fingernail, it should click. No, not yet. There she goes. She clicked into place. And then I'm going to put this door back in. Now that was just a standard small 8 gigabyte or gigabyte card. Just going to tighten this back down. All right. Now this cable can, if you're mounting it up against something, it will obviously go toward the center, which is where that big circle is, right in the middle. Or you can kind of see there is a little relief that we can set that out. So if you're surface mounting it, but you don't have a way to drill through, so like if you're surface mounting it to like brick or something like that, and you don't have access to the other side of that wall to get the cable to come through, then you can route the cable up the wall or down the wall or however you want to see fit to do it. That is what it does. All right, so this pretty much about set. I just got to get a cable from my switch because I don't want to connect this directly to the NVR. So let's try this. Boy, I am making a mess today with my studio, but here I do. I have a patch cable that's going back to my switch. That is a PoE switch. And we're going to go ahead and just plug that into here. Now, of course, this one doesn't have a boot, so I could put the weather stripping on here to show that, but it's, like I said, it's the same process. So let's do this. Plug that in. Now I'm going to give it a good minute or so, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this plastic off here as well. I'm going to give it a good minute to boot up, and then we should be good to go. Now I have the camera app open that we had set up with the NVR, which you can see right there, there's my NVR. But down here we can see add device. So if I hit add device, it gives me an information between Wi-Fi, PoE, DVR, search for device. Let's hit search for device. Let's see if it finds anything on my network. So you can see that we do have 2 items on there. One is the NVR, and then .237, that must be the actual camera. Now I could actually probably tie that up with the information that's on the tag of the camera or on the back of the camera. 99% sure that has to be it. So connection type. Let's do, I don't know if I guess maybe I do. So connection type, let's do IP domain. .237. Start live view. Oh, what can't be empty? Name can't be empty. Let's call this Dome or Tome or Dirt or whatever you want to call it. Password, okay. I think it's just admin is the default. And now we have to create a new password. So let me do that real quick. So as soon as I put the password in and hit enter, it off to the races she went. Now you can see it's upside down right now, which I'm sure we could probably look at. Of course, here we go. So let's try this down here at the bottom. Mirror flip. Vertically. Hey, look at that. And we can also do horizontally so you can actually read everything. So you can see it says Dell. There we go. So we are set up, and we can also go into here. Where would we go to reset the memory? It's always fun doing it like this. So let's go here to device manager. Here we go. So dome camera, hit the edit. So live view. So we can change the live view. Total capacity, free capacity 82 megabytes, so there's a whole lot of nothing. No, I don't want to delete that. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so I'm just at the website for that camera because I don't think I can actually do everything through the app. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my password that I set up when I attached to the camera, admin, and then password. And there we go. And so give me a second. All right, we'll hit login. So here we are now, we're in with the camera itself. And so mainstream, there it is, there's the camera. I'm gonna go up here and go to setup, think. So storage is an option over here. Here we, that's not there. Cloud storage, system, let's go to system instead. Nope, I don't see it there. Okay, I found it. So under storage, then we go to destination, and then you kind of get with this, where do we want to send this stuff? Do we want to send it to an SD card, to an FTP, or a NAS? So the nice thing is you do have options. You don't have to do the micro SD card if you don't want to. But rather than using network traffic, let's keep it on the SD card. So I'm going to select SD card right here, which there's the disk, which is full. I'm going to go to... so select the disk, right over here, all the way over here, format. Yes, format that sucker. And it is formatted, and now we have plenty of storage space that's available to it. So there we are. We are fully set up with the camera. I can go up here and go to the live feed at any time, which just takes a second to come up. Now, of course, interesting that it didn't pull time automatic, even though it's on my network. So that'd be another thing that we would probably want to do, is configure that. So under configuration, light settings. So there's exposure settings. So if you need to change any of that, day and night settings, the sensitivity of it. It's amazing to me that it didn't pull off the network for this system. Interesting. So date and time is under System General, and then we can change that date and time. So PC Sync, I like that. Save. PC Sync and save. Done. Okay, if I go back to live now, let's make sure that that is now correct. Now these camera and the NVR are on the same network. You were able to see both of them in there, right? So I was kind of interested. Can this add that camera? Oh, I got to do the thing I did. So you can see I have everything on here. Let's hit device search. And look at that. There it is. So I can add that camera. So I set it up separately through my own switch and everything, and it is fully set up and done. So now I can see that camera, and I bet I can add it. And I may have to put in... It's manual add it, and I'll have to change the password. So I'm going to go ahead and put my password in quick. Okay, I put the password in. I hit connect. Oh, here's where you can put the channel number. I'm going to go into channel 1. Hit OK. And there we go. I wonder what I just did when I hit add again. Okay, so what happened was when I hit that add a second time, it erased my password I just put in, because this camera has a separate password than all the rest, and the NVR as well. If they had the same password, I think it would actually be good. It erased that password, put in the NVRs password, and yeah, it messed me up. So you could obviously change it yourself, but if I went to main menu and I went to camera management down here, and then it was red right here, that you can see that's the camera we're talking about. So I just double clicked on it, and that's where I changed the password back. So that's where that is, and I can go back to live here. So yay, that's kind of cool. I'm not going to keep it that way. I'm going to go back to actually plugging into the channel itself, but for now we're going to keep it like that for this video. So now we have 2 cameras attached, feeling good. So on this video, what we showed was, well, we can set it up direct, as long as you have a PoE switch or a power injector for that matter, plugged into a switch or into your router. Pretty easy to go through the app to set it up. And then going through the web port, once you actually know the IP address of it, and setting it up that way. It found itself automatically. It worked pretty slick. Then we could add it to the NVR as well. Even though it's not plugged in directly to the NVR, this is an 8-port plug-in NVR. I can obviously add cameras that are not attached to it, even though this is PoE, as long as you're on the same network. So that was nice as well. We demonstrated that. So a lot of capability with this system so far that I'm really liking. The setup is a little different just because you have this little mouse, and I would say that you really do want to make sure you have a monitor nearby if you actually are setting up with the NVR. But otherwise, pretty simple, to be honest. It's not too crazy. That said, we have 2 5-megapixel cameras now connected, fully operational. Now we're going to do the third and last video, and that is more about the unboxing and looking at the 8-megapixel camera. Then we're going to connect it directly into the NVR, get it set up, and see what the clarity of the differences on here. So definitely check out that video. I'll have the links down in the description as well here at the end, so make sure you scoot over to that one. They're all launching at the same time. And then coming soon is going to be the full reviews. I will do a full review of these cameras, these 2 5-megapixel cameras. Like I said, essentially these are the same camera, just different housings. So I will have a review video on the cameras specifically. So that's coming down the road. That's not going to be launched at the same time this launches. But if you'd like to see the 8-megapixel camera, how that comes out, what that looks like out of the box, and I'm going to take a peek at what the build quality is different, if there is any. So thanks for watching to the end. Catch you back here on GeekSmart for another future video install setup tutorial. See you soon.